It's a cold and dull 22 degrees here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I sincerely hope that you're keeping warm and you're taking it easy when you do go out on the roads. Please, no speeding. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. So whatever it is, whatever the temperature is, and whatever the skies look like, your daily dose of sunshine is here. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
You just want to convince us, Marco, that whether it's the weather is cool or it's hot, the sun is not rationed. Well, I agree with you on that one. Amaya Makide, good morning and welcome. Today is July 28 and in Lagos it's 26 degrees here, and I hope you have a very sunny and beautiful week as well.
Well, you know, it was quite a weekend we had in Lagos. I was sitting right on the very chair you were sitting on Friday. And you know where we saw over the weekend on Saturday. Shall we bring evidence of what we did over the weekend? Well, I do hope for our viewers that it was also a great and productive weekend for you. And of course, it was a productive weekend for Nigeria. Thanks to the women, thanks to the Falcons, who gave us reason to smile. I had friends who were saying they went to sleep, you know, giving up very easily. And that's something we must never do, never give up on our country. The Falcons triumphing over hosts Morocco to win the match, the AFCON final 3-2, you know, and bringing home that cup. The president has already congratulated the women and, of course, making Nigerians very, very proud. We'll be looking forward to welcoming them back home when they eventually come in. I understand they're supposed to be received at the presidential villa today. But I sincerely wish that that was all we had to talk about, Ayo. You know, there are a lot of things to talk about. What happened last week, what happened over the weekend, and part of what happened over the weekend wasn't just good news. We understand that some people lost their lives in another preventable safety incident in Niger State. Niger State again. I do not like to say Niger State again. I'm hoping that they will be in the news for very good things. But in this instance, it's over a matter which we have spoken up, you know, for again and again. Is an issue of safety, because it does appear that as a country, we do not take safety very seriously. Yes, we talk about security. Security is one thing. Security agencies will do what it is that they are supposed to do. In some instances, they'll drop the ball. In some instances, they'll be taken by surprise. But safety is firmly within our control, and it is untenable that year in, year out, we continue to lose people to boat mishaps, we lose people to road accidents, all of which are very preventable. We lose people to fire incidences out of a lack of preparation, sometimes out of the fact that we just take safety for granted. So over the weekend, we understand that 35 people were on a boat in Niger State and 13 people lost their lives in a boat mishap, which is really, really unfortunate. We understand the governor of Niger State has written to communities and also boat operators asking them to take safety very seriously. And to be very honest, Ayo, I hate to sound like a broken record, but when we see something happening over and over again, unless we do things differently, we're going to keep recording the same results. And I'm hoping that Niger State will want to remove itself from this list of states that always record boat mishaps. They're not the only state with a river. So why should it be the state that every year they are mentioned for? I know that Niger State is really big, and I know that, yes, it is how many times bigger than a number of states in this country. It's bigger than some countries. It is true. However, when we see that certain things are happening in certain areas, especially around water, if it's not flood, it's, you know, some disease as a result of contaminated water, we need to now make sure that there is concerted effort to make sure that this sort of incidences are avoided. Ayo.
You know, when you say every year, let's put it in context so people have an understanding. A simple search will tell you, I mean, if you say, okay, give us a history of boat mishaps in Niger State alone. A simple search will tell you that we've been having boat mishaps from like 2013 in Niger State. And Niger State has recorded between 2013 and now at about 14 boat mishaps that have claimed the lives of more than 332 people. Take what happened, for instance, in September of 2023. Between September 2 and October 2, we've had boat mishaps that claimed about 53 lives across about 3 or 4 local governments. About a month or two after that, in November, there was another one. In October of 2024, there was another boat mishaps with about approximately between 24 and 150 people were feared dead, depending on whose document you are looking at. And now this year, so it's already a cause for concern. It shouldn't be something that we say just because we need to say something. It should be something that gives us concern. The question is why. If this has happened 3 years back to back, let us find out why. And if certain individuals who are the operators of this boat transportation system or whatever it is, are the ones that are flouting the safety rules or safety guidelines, can't we call them out? Isn't there some form of reprimand that can come to them? Let's not people start reading meanings into the fact that we are losing the lives of Nigerians for whatever reason. I think this, just as you said, Markwe, it's an issue of safety. They are avoidable. So why are people dying? Sincere sympathies and condolences to the people who have lost loved ones. But can we put a stop to this? I believe it is something that we can. It's not everything that has to do or depend on government, be it federal or state, is it? Markwe.
Indeed, especially when they are firmly within the purview of states. One of the reasons why we've been asking for local government autonomy, or why the cry for local government autonomy has been really loud, is because of things like this, because they believe that, you cannot expect somebody who is at the state level, who is in the capital, for instance, to be seeing what is happening in little communities, but that if there is a firmer control at the local government level, they will be able to pay attention to issues of safety even more closely. However, it does appear that we are dropping the ball when it comes to the era or to the area of safety. I want to imagine that organizations, government institutions concerned with safety will wake up and live up to their responsibilities. For instance, on my way to work this morning, Ayo, I did mention that it's a very, overcast day here in Abuja. It's been drizzling all night. This rain that just comes in light showers and wouldn't stop, for a while, making the roads very slippery, very messy, especially with us where we still have sand on the road and sometimes mud gets on the road. You would think that by now we'll have a situation where we'll see safety agencies along different areas of the road, especially areas where they know that we usually would see accidents, or areas that they know are a bit tricky to navigate. Maybe with mobile signages showing what speeds they expect people to go at. Yes, there will be people who will be recalcitrant. We would imagine that at that point they will also have officials who will be able to, rein them in. But it does appear that we're still letting the ball slide. Or is it that, I don't know, I think that it's really, really overdue to have a conversation with some of these safety organizations to find out what their preparedness is. Yes, we understand that the FRSA will do some campaign for the Ember months and tell us that, December is not the problem, it is how we drive that is the problem. But we also see that increasingly in the rainy season, we record these accidents on the way. I can't count how many have seen, not just today, but even last week. So let us believe that our safety agencies will be more up and doing. Look at what we have, the records we have with our Air Safety Bureau. That has not occurred by accident. The fact that Nigeria has been, keeping its, its records almost clean with the area of air safety. It's not happening by accident. It's happening by deliberate planning. And I think that we can learn more than a thing or two from what is happening in the airspace and bring it to our waterways and bring it to our roads and see how it is that we can reduce the number of people dying. Security might not be all within our purview, but safety certainly is. Well, you're talking about safety and what is within our purview. Another area that's within our purview is history, keeping history. I did mention that I was in Lagos last week, and for those who are wondering what I was there to do, it was a very significant event. The book launch by the Oniru of Iroland, of our CU, Abdul CU, Omogbolahon Lawal, CON, who wrote a book, a very interesting book. It's titled From City to Mega City, a memoir of Lagos urbanization from 1999 to 2023. Usually we call our traditional rulers custodians of culture, custodians of our customs and traditions. And it's very interesting what the Oniru had to say as to how he came about writing this book. He used the book to celebrate his 55th birthday, where you see sometimes parties are held, you know, chieftaincy titles are given, you know, to mark the birthday of a traditional ruler. In this instance, a book was written, and it's very interesting what he says provoked, yes, because actually he said he was angered to write that book. And I think that the report that we have on standby will certainly make you give a thought or two. There's always a saying, I have heard, that until the lion learns to write its story, the story will always be told from the perspective of the hunter. In this case, I think that the lions involved in this story are deciding to write their own story. Now, I will be very honest with you, Ayo. Over my visit to Lagos, and I always take time to observe, even though I'm not able to go around the state as I'd love to. But from the island to the mainland, I always try and take note of what it is I notice about the state. Haven't lived there a long time, hailing from that particular side of Nigeria, the things I think they're doing well, and the things that I think, you know, leaves a lot to be desired. So on the mainland, it does appear that there is some progress being made, with new extensions made to certain roads, etc. In the area of traffic management, it does appear that Lagos is still very much on top of its game. Well, some people will say, Malpe, come back when the children are in school and let us know whether you still feel the same way, because the holidays might have something to do with that. I don't know, but in this season when I traveled, it was quite easy navigating from the island to the mainland almost seamlessly. The traffic officials, there was an incident I think I saw on 3rd Mainland, and before you could say Jack, they were actually there to try and make sure that, you know, there was a thoroughfare. However, and this is even with road maintenance still going on, you know, some parts, I think the federal government is doing some work there. However, on the island, there are big questions to be asked. What is going on? Is the Lagos state government going to sleep? Or along that Lekki toll road, going all the way to, is it Ekpe or Aja, all the way from the Lekki toll gate where that protest happened? It does appear that there is a clear case of abandonment. I do not know what's going on. The roads are now swept. There are huge potholes on the road. And I'm not certain what it is, you know, that the Lagos state government has up its sleeves for that road. And I think that huge questions need to be asked. But I digress, Ayo. I was talking about this book, From City to Mega City. And I think that maybe I shouldn't speak too much. I think that our viewers should listen to the report and let us know what it is that they think, and then we get your perspective, Ayo.
Yes, let's have the report now. I think it's already on standby. There's a lot to say to it.
It's a grand entrance fit for royalty, and for a man whose life story is deeply intertwined with the growth of Lagos. Oba Abdulwasiu Omogbolahon Lawal, the 15th Oniru of Ireland, marks his 55th birthday, surrounded by an array of dignitaries from government, the private sector, and traditional institutions. But the celebration doesn't stop there. It's a double occasion, as it's also the unveiling of his new book, From City to Mega City, a memoir of Lagos urbanization, 1999 to 2023. Oba Lawal's journey is closely tied to the story of Lagos. He served as aide-de-camp to then-Governor Bola Tinubu, held office as a 3-time commissioner, and now a royal custodian of heritage and tradition. This book, he says, is a gift from a king to his beloved city and to history itself.
That book explores many myths. As I said in the foreword, But you will see that he has very, very carefully limited himself to the period between 1999 and 2023. But some of the things that he dealt with there was the investments that have been made continuously by previous and continuing governments of Lagos State in the agri sector.
From City to Mega City is written by someone who didn't just observe. He lived it as a citizen, a policy maker, and a witness to the transformation of Lagos. And as expected, goodwill messages flow in from the Deputy Governor of Lagos State to the Chairman of Channels Media Group, all acknowledging the Oniru's contribution to the Lagos story.
That this launch coincides with your birthday shows that you are a man that cares about Lagos, its history and its trajectory. It's an impactful legacy that showcases His Majesty's unwavering determination for the progress of Lagos and, of course, Euroland.
The number 55 in numerology relates to transformation and new beginnings. And with the antecedents of the Kabiyesi and his record in office and his eye for the future, I know that his reign will be glorious, will be peaceful, and will be long.
For Oba Lawal, this book is his personal account of the evolution of Lagos over 2 decades. A story prompted by a sweeping, perhaps even challenging remark.
This book was born in a moment of discomfort. I recall I was at a conference where one of the speakers, with great certainty, claimed that Lagos had done little to address contemporary urban issues. That assertion, though unsettling, became a spark. It reminded me of a risk of silence. I realized how easy it is for narratives to be distorted when we fail to document our stories. That moment became the catalyst for this work.
The Oniru of Iro Kingdom.
It took 4 years to bring From City to Mega City to life. And within its 485 pages lies a blend of policy reflection, historical insight, and a legacy of governance, all written by the one who lived it.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Well, that piece that you saw before the break about the book launch From City to Mega City, I guess you want to pick up a copy as well. Marco, one of the things I was telling you earlier when we had this conversation privately was, look, every city, every state in this country should put up those, kind of documents out for their people, because you live in certain areas, you don't even know how the names evolved. And so when I was having this conversation with an official of government, I was like, oh, well, that's a good idea, let's do it. So fine, we're waiting for it. When Lagos turned, I think, is it 50 or 60, a young man went around the city and, came up with this document, heavy research, and put it out there. I don't know how far that has gone, but I know it is something that the Lagos State government is aware of. Well, to have this conversation with us among several other issues to be talked about this morning, we have Barrister Dr. Monday Ubani, who is the Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And happy birthday. It was your birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, one of my directors actually said, I'm waiting for the cake. See that. And also joining us virtually is Devo Okorie, who is a political and development expert. He joins us virtually. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Okorie.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Mr. Bane, let me begin with you. One of the many issues that's bothered a lot of people. First of all, let's begin with this comment that was made by Mr. Babatunde Fashola, former governor of Lagos State, when he was asked about this local government autonomy thing. And Marco, referenced it earlier, the fact that this whole boat mishaps, local accidents and all those things, they are as a result of the fact that the local governments are not operating as autonomously as they're expected to according to the Constitution. Yes. But Mr. Babatunde Fashola's opinion is, even this whole local government autonomy thing, perhaps there is a need for some enlightenment as to what it means. Because according to the Constitution, local governments are not supposed to be as autonomous as people expect, because if, for instance, the House of Assembly in any state is making laws for a local government administration and is also supervising the administration of local governments or local government councils in any state, then where is the autonomy? What's your take on that?
I don't know why my learned Silk is trying to introduce some level of ambiguity and complexity in a matter that is very simple. What we're saying is that we have a third tier of government, you know, even though the state has some level of involvement probably in making laws governing that tier. Give them the money that the federal government gives to them in order to run that tier of government effectively. I'm very, very sure that my learned brother Sek is not happy with the level of performance of local government today in Nigeria. They are not doing much in terms of good governance and then making grassroots development, you know, to be even, and then let people begin to feel the impact of governance. Everyone is a product of local government, and today, no particular local government is functioning effectively as it's supposed to be. No one is happy with that. So the Attorney General took a very good step in going to court in order to have the pronouncement of the Supreme Court over the issue. And we are still arguing over things that do not matter. What is the issue that, oh, the state is still, you know, make laws governing them, so in that, there is no issue of autonomy. No, that's not the argument. The argument is that, look, there is a tier of government that has a responsibility assigned to it under the Constitution. Can you give them their funds so that they can now perform that duty? They are not doing it. If every local government today has their full fund in order to effectively police all the local government, Nigeria will be safe. Today we are talking about insecurity all over the place. It's because the local government do not perform their function of ensuring, you know, policing that they're supposed to do within their own domain.
But you do not also remonstrate the opinion he made, particularly in the light of the fact that, for instance, the Constitution could be breached if the local governments get their money directly, because the money is supposed to go into a particular account and then before it goes
there is no breaching of the purpose of that. Look at the lawmaker, the framers of the Constitution. Why did they talk about joint account? Well, they mean, if you look at that particular provision, is that when that money comes in, the state ought to also put their own counterpart fund in there, inside that particular money, and then allow the local government to disburse and do whatever their responsibilities are as specified under the Constitution. That is the reason for that joint account. It was not meant for a situation where the governors now take over the funding that is meant for local government after collecting their own, because the federal government gives the federal government their own portion, give the state their own portion, and then the local government portion. But said it must be in a joint account so that the state can also bring whatever is, you know, the local governments are entitled to into that joint account, and then allow them to now effectively use that money to govern their local government. But today we are not, the state governors now, you know, superintend and then decide what to do, and then give the local government chairman just stipend in order to go and run his local government administration. And that's why you and I were not having good governance today in Nigeria. We have been trying this thing for how many years now? And we are seeing that the local government administration is not being governed effectively. Can't we change to something that is, you know, better? It got the Supreme Court judges to be very angry and say, look, allow these people to have their money. Let them use this money in order to develop it, because all of us are product of local government. That is what they're trying to say. Okay. So for somebody now still arguing that issue of autonomy cannot be guaranteed, and you are not seeing administration happening effectively, and you're happy, are you happy with what is going on with the local government administration? Do
you do something wrong in order to achieve something right?
I don't understand what you mean by something wrong. I've explained to you the meaning of joint account. That the joint account was meant for the state governors to bring in their own money, and they give them their money to. What is wrong? What is unconstitutional about it?
Total autonomy for the local governments when the when the House of Assembly still makes laws for them. That's the argument.
I don't understand the issue of total autonomy. I was saying money. Give them their money to do what they are supposed to do. What is the argument?
Okay.
What is the argument?
Let me ask Mr. Okorie. What's your take on this argument, Mr. Okorie?
Honestly, Mr. Obani has said something that's true. This matter is so simple, but I think we need to hit the matter for what it is. It's not an issue of autonomy, whether be it the administration of the local governments from the state assemblies that make laws. They're just like regulators. It's an issue bordering on criminality and corruption. I mean, across decades of different administrations, governors have assumed the know-it-all and the arbiter of funds that were not meant for them. Check under the constitutional separation of powers and also funding. To make it easier, the federal government takes about, under this federation, federal government takes about 50%, states take about 30%, local governments take about 20%. Now, that's why the argument is there for first-line charge, so that the money does not pass through a joint account. The intention was that the state government should share the money, remit it to the local government, but they didn't do that. They haven't been doing that. It's not just now, that's how it's been for ages. Now, what happens is that the local government have to literally come and beg for what was their entitlement, not what is a concession. It is their entitlement. Same way that the federal government for judiciary used to pass the money through the states. Hence, the state governors became emperors and literally were giving it to the judiciary as when they felt that they deserved it. That's why they fought for first-line charge. Now, let's say it for what it is. If the governors or state governments do not want to operate in a federation, it's not difficult. We can agree as a country to change the system. Now, all it means, the implication that there will not be local government or municipalities as you have it in other countries or counties, is that the state governments must assume governance even at every level that exists in their state. So what that means is every ministry and commission under the state government must have direct presence, must have direct ability to address the issues of their people. Now, like I say, most times, it has only been tolerated because the Nigerian people within the states have allowed this to happen. Because the truth is this, if you have a pothole on your road, if you don't have water running into your house, if you don't have the usual issues.
Perhaps one of the
Hello, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me. Perhaps one of the issues here is also borders on whether or not it aligns with whatever we have in the Constitution. I've always been considered about the fact that, wait, why is it that it seems like the Constitution is being obeyed or being executed in breach in certain ways? For instance, this whole local government autonomy thing that we're talking about, this whole concurrent list, executive list, and so on. There are so many things that people are wondering, if the states now have the power to do this, how come they're still not doing it and expecting the federal government to do it? Begging the question of whether or not, in your opinion, first of all, let me ask you, Mr. Okorie, there's a call for a new constitution, and there is an ongoing constitutional review. Which do you think we should prioritize, Mr. Okorie?
Simple. What do the people want? Remember, the National Assembly represents the people. But because the National Assembly has become politicized, they've been acting as if they're in the pockets of the executive. They've not been doing the will of the people. The conversation on the Constitutional Conference is simply a secondary reaction by the Nigerian people to say that if the National Assembly is not going to do their job, maybe we all should come out and start discussing the issue. Insecurity in the country. Right now, we should have, it's not rocket science. We should have brought in state police. The federal government has provided about 350 policemen, about 250 military men who are meant to address external issues. They've now funded the police. They funded more of the military, which is why Buratai in his past said it's not our duty to address internal issues. It's not rocket science that by now, with increased revenue to the states, they should have closed the gap with state police. But because there's a political play between the executive and state governance.
I just want to get one fact first. Just one comment from you first. Which do you think we should prioritize? To constitutional review or a brand new constitution? Which do you think Nigeria should prioritize? Oh dear. Since that's, well, I'm pretty sure we'll come back to you in a second, Mr. Okorie. But what's your take? Which do you think we should prioritize?
The issue of a constitutional amendment or having a new constitution has been on.
That we want to see.
Just a second, Mr. Okore. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, Mr. Okore. Just a second. Go ahead.
It's been on for a while. And the reason is not far-fetched. You know, there has been this amendment process that has been going on. Most time we have the input of the people. The populace come into making their own suggestion of what they think should be a perfect constitution. But most times, we're having problem with institutions that have a role to play before the passage of the amendment. The National Assembly, the State House of Assembly, and then the President to give an assent. Most times, those amendment passes through the National Assembly. When you go to State House of Assembly, they'll kill there. Or sometimes it passes through both houses, both tier. And then when it comes over to the President, he refuses to assent. So most times there has been this idea that there are issues with our constitution. It's a military constitution. Let's now change it to a properly, you know, around federal system of governance. And so after that, after all that amendment, we have not been able to actually actualize. That's why people now say, look, can we now have a constitutional conference where a new constitution will be given so that we don't keep on amending?
Something that you said just now is what is really giving me reason to ask questions. When you say it's a military constitution, what do you mean?
Well, it was given to us by a military ruler. By 1990, by Abu Salam. Abu Salam was the writer of he was the one that actually brought into existence the 1999, are you not aware? It wasn't a constitution that went through the entire process of having the input of the people.
I'm sure, Mr. Ubani, that you are aware of the process.
What process? What process did it take?
That evolved into how the 1999
was he a collaborative effort of all the market women, the students, and the populace? You know, because a new constitution.
Do you know how the 1999 constitution?
Sorry?
Do you know how the 1999 constitution came to be?
The 1999 constitution, you know, 50 wise men. And they take input from several. In fact, the 1999 constitution is better than the 1979 constitution I'm talking about, where 50 wise men, led by the late Williams, you know, senior advocate of Nigeria, you know, had input of the people. More of input. What of the 1963 constitution? You're not asking me about that. This were a perfect constitution that had input of the people. 1999 constitution had no input whatsoever from the people. It was a military decree that gave it a life to that particular constitution.
But you do know that. Let me ask Mr. Okore. Mr. Okore, what we're talking about this new constitution, you know, thing. There's this argument that's been making the rounds, and I have always wondered, when we say the 1999 constitution was written by the military, do you agree with that notion?
It's just hard facts now. It was under the influence of the military at that time. They appointed people who were going to do their bidding. Now, obviously, it's just because we don't have time. I mean, Mr. Bani would have taken you through all the anomalies that exist in terms of population, in terms of federation counts, in terms of geopolitical zones, in terms of how some issues on the concurrent list, which should, issues on the exclusive list, which should have been on the concurrent list. I mean, there's so many anomalies. Like I said, it is not rocket science. Constitutional review simply means pass it through the National Assembly as to what the Nigerian people want. First reading, second reading, then take it to the states for 2/3 adoption. Once that is done, it is passed into law. Now that process needs to be accelerated. That's why we always abusing and lambasting the National Assembly for not representing the people, doing the jobs. How much have they done within the time that they have been given?
So just
Insecurity, Child Rights Act.
Just one second, Mr. Okore, so that we can give some life to this conversation. Now, the 1999 Constitution, I hope you are aware, that took its life essentially from the 1979 Constitution, which Mr. Dr. Ubani here is praising as a perfect constitution. About 90% or thereabouts content of the 1979 Constitution make up the 1999 Constitution with a few amendments here and there. The 1979 Constitution, the process of making it started in 1975. Under the late Chief F.R.A. Williams, as Mr. Ubani has said, culminated in 1977-78 when the government of the day, the Obasanjo government, signed it into law. That was a military government. It was something done by a group of Nigerians who took representation from different different parts of the country. The same was done for the 1999 Constitution. Only this time around it was led by Chief Justice Nikki Toby with a number of people working with him. Mr. Obade, we all know this thing. So please go ahead. Do you still say it is written by the military when it took life from the Constitution, the 1979 Constitution you all are praising?
Didn't take any life there.
Yes, but we're not arguing that fact. We're simply saying for the gaps that exist within the current, no law is perfect, okay? What happens is that room is given within a democracy. Remember, it's not a central or dictatorship. Room is given for the people to have laws amended where it is not suitable, where it is not satisfactory. They can be reviewed, right? Now, that is the process that we say it is not taking place effectively. Our National Assembly are not doing their job given the resources that they have accrued to themselves. Take, for example, state creation, okay? The issue of state creation is open to the will of the people. The problem is you need to debate these issues, confirm whether a state will be productive or not before you pass it. Like I said, insecurity. Currently, the police are under the exclusive list, meaning they are run by the federal government from the center. That is the security architecture of the country. But we have seen that insecurity is local. A lot of the issues cannot be resolved from federal police. Hence, the need for state police to complement the security architecture. What is holding it back is simply the inability of us to remove the politics between governors and the executive, pulling back and not signing that bill to passage. So my bid to you, my brother, is not about what happened in the past. Whatever has happened in the past has happened. It's our duty to come together and ensure that we upgrade, review these issues of the Constitution that are not working in our interest. There's the issue of foreign policy. There's the issue of education and social infrastructure. All these matters require reviews in the Constitution. Now, okay. I just want to touch on what Obasanjo mentioned. Remember, he said it was not so much about the Constitution, but it was about the implementation, which is actually a hard fact. There are current issues within the Constitution that we are not implementing. Hence your issue. Why are governors not allowing local governments to operate, given the fact that the Constitution empowers them to give the money to the local governments? Okay. So you can see that the Constitution is one issue. Yes. Obedience, compliance, and implementation is another.
And it's a question that we have asked the number of people who are pushing for this whole new constitution agenda. A number of other issues to raise with you, Mr. Obani, but we need to take a break, take one or two messages, and then Malqua is ready to come in.
Well, indeed, we're still on this issue of constitutional review and a lot of other sundry matters. Let me go to our guest who is joining us virtually, Mr. Defoe, to ask you about what you make of this issue of regional policing. Because over the weekend, you mentioned state police and the, the reluctance, or the reluctance of state governors to have this, or is it the federal government? It's unclear now, because the conversations would happen at next. Sometimes we will see there's a lot of momentum, and after a while, it just goes silent. Over the weekend, though, we saw the Ogun State government inaugurate about 500 officers of Amotekun, and they're led by a retired brigadier general. So it does appear that state governments are finding solutions to their local security problems. And this morning, we're now being told that 38 hostages have been killed after bandits collected a 50 million naira ransom in Zamfara State. So let me just quickly read the stories. It says residents of Banga village in Kaura Namoda local government area of Zamfara State have been thrown into mourning following the brutal killing of 38 kidnapped villagers by bandits, despite the payment of over 50 million naira as ransom. And this was confirmed by the chairman of Kaura Namoda local government area, Honorable Manir Haidara Kaura, who confirmed the incident to us exclusively. He said 56 persons were reportedly abducted, 18 were released. However, it does appear that they killed 38 others. I do not know what is going through your mind as you listen to this piece of news, but how involved? Because while we're looking at state police, it does appear that where the challenge really is at the local government level. What do you think needs to happen at that level for us to, you know, escalate to finally maybe coalesce at the state level?
Okay, thank you for your question, Mark. But unfortunately, I cry every day anytime insecurity is reported. And basically, day by day, we keep hearing of citizens in different parts of the country being kidnapped, being abducted, being killed. Blood is being spilled on a daily basis. And for an issue that we could have easily resolved. Now, like I said, you know, in the last administration, we used that word, what do you call it? Restructuring. We also use the word security architecture. What is the current security architecture of this country? Like I said, I repeat myself, you have about 350,000 policemen, of which 150 are doing VIP services for individuals, leaving just roughly about 100,000 to police 200 million people. If you divide that by 36, you can understand why we never have quick response from the police. Now, you have about 250 military men who are also shared in 34 out of 36 states. It still cannot meet up with the requirements, the adequacy to be able to address insecurity in the country. The president, in his campaign, if you remember when he was talking about give them agbado and beans, he spoke about raising the manpower within our security forces to about 1 million, okay? That even is insufficient, but it is a first step in addressing the insecurity in this country. If you travel to most parts of the country, especially in the north, the distance between one police station and another is about 2 to 3 hours. And each station would have maybe 2 or 3 men with maybe weak weapons, showing you the inadequacy of not just only manpower, but also equipment, training. Now, my point is this. It's a federation. Can you remember the last time that money was used from the federal government during the last administration to address infrastructure? The governors kicked back. Why? Because their share of federation allocation was not, the permission was not taken. Hence, if the federal government has provided central policing, okay, at maybe 250,000, the state governments who have gotten increased revenue should be able to complement that. So at least for doing nothing, we should be discussing at the range of 500,000 policemen in the country. Now, if you cannot address that, you can't begin to pick all the different insecurity issues that are taking place. There's definitely a gap. Criminals are taking advantage of the fact that we don't have proper and effective security on ground to keep doing what they do. Now, like I said, between the National Assembly and the National Economic Council, how come each time they meet, they skip the issue of state policing? I put it to you that insecurity is directly tied to executive compromise and corruption. I repeat myself, insecurity is directly tied to the politicization, to the corruption that is taking place, to the inability of our leaders to have one face regarding our nation. And we, the Nigerian people, have suffered untold hardship. I keep telling you that it had nothing to do with herdsmen and farmers. Have you traveled along the road? Have you seen herdsmen before? Is it those small little children that are taking cattle around, that are frustrating our army? That can't be true. They tell you it's religion, Christian and Muslim. Not so. Tell me which Muslim or Christian association has come out to say that we are going to kill to take land over to get what we want. That's not true also. What you have are politicians who have taken advantage of the weak security architecture to continue peddling their interests. Until we face this issue as a nation, we can't continue making excuses for it and claiming that people are coming from outside to destabilize our land. We can't continue saying that we can't think about state policing, when clearly, all you need to do is to empower state police to give you double the numbers to ramp up your security architecture. Mark, but these things are not rocket science. They're not difficult. You and me, we're doing ourselves. And I need Nigerians to understand this. When we start discussing religion and ethnicity when it comes to who were going to vote and
Oh, it does appear that we just lost you briefly there, Mr. Okorie. We certainly will come back to you, but let me come to you, Dr. Obani. And this issue, also borders on the Constitution, because at the end of the day, what exactly is government about? Isn't it the safety of lives and property? That's essentially what it's supposed to be about. This advocacy for local government autonomy, at a time when we're saying increased revenue, shouldn't it also trickle down to the issue of safety? Why do we seem to always be dropping the ball when it comes to the security of lives and property in our country?
If I tell you that our leaders do not know what they should do in order to ensure security of lives and property in Nigeria, I'll be telling you a lie. Mr. Okorie himself has analyzed, what the problem is. And that's why people have been clamoring for state police. And look, allow the state to organize themselves, security-wise. If I'm from Ikuano local government in Abia State, if I'm the local government chairman, and I am in charge of local security, and make sure that all the entry points in my local government in Ikuano is properly polished. The same with the man who is a local government chairman in Adamawa, the same in Ogun State. So if we properly police our local government, tell me where you will begin to hear about insecurity. Where is it going to come from? They know what to do, but they are benefiting from the lapses. They are benefiting from what is going on, the road that is going on, and that's why they don't want to address it. People keep on talking about rejig the architecture and all that. Allow state police. How can we be arguing forth and back about that? I agree that the issue of abuse may come in because some of the governors, most of them are not mentally okay when they become, when you give them power. So we have to be careful with that. And that's why we say in the lawmaking, the legal framework, we must make sure that we put it in such a manner that it will avoid abuse. If there is any likelihood of abuse, then the federal police will come in. Let's use the legal framework to organize ourselves. Let's also use the issue of implementation to organize. It's as simple as that. You cannot have security in Nigeria if you don't allow local government in Nigeria to operate. Quote me. You can never have security in Nigeria if Nigerians do not allow local government administration to operate effectively. Quote me any day, anytime. That is what I want to say. I don't want to speak much about that.
Dr. Obani, speaking of local governments, you had cause to write a letter over the weekend about a decision that was taken by an outgoing local government chairman in Lagos State. You said the recent decision by the outgoing chairman of Bariga Local Government Council Development Area, it wasn't even a full local government, it's an LCDA, Honorable Kolade Alabi David, to rename the popular Charlie Boy bus stop to Bado bus stop in honor of Nigerian artist Olamide and others may appear harmless on the surface. It may even seem laudable to those who admire the artist's impact on Nigeria's entertainment scene. However, beneath the surface is a disturbing trend that requires urgent national reflection and condemnation. The systematic and silent erasure of certain historical street names in Lagos, especially those reflecting the cultural identity and heritage of non-Yoruba residents.
Yes.
Would you say that this, much as this has now caused controversy, because in fairness, Charlie Boy has paid his dues, and that bus stop is as old as I can remember. It's a very popular bus stop. I think there's a signage just right there that says Charlie Boy, that says Charlie Boy Street or so, and then that bus stop has been named after it. Some people say it's an illegal bus stop, but people used to stop there, and it's a popular bus stop.
That's correct.
Now, some people will say, is this incident, though, significant as it is, enough for us to reach the conclusions that we have reached here, cultural identity and heritage of non-Yoruba residency? Or would you say that, maybe there has been some misunderstanding with regards to what exactly the local government, the outgoing local council development area chairman was trying to do?
Yeah, what I did was to draw attention to the fact that this is not a singular incident. There was this Jeremy local government council that also erased certain names of people that those names have already been named after them, and they've been there for many years. And this started after the 2023 general election. We start having this issue of being divisive, and then the issue of, is it cleansing now that is going on? Renaming all the streets, that are born non-Yoruba names and all that. And I know that Yorubas are very sophisticated, very enlightened people. I've been here for many years, and I I don't see some of them, you know, discriminating against any person. But this trend after the 2023 election, where this issue of hostility and, you know, try to raise certain names and all that came up, and I felt that, look, let's draw the attention of Nigerians to this. Let it not now become something that will become something that will go on, you know, for a while, and maybe bring some level of disagreement amongst us. And I'm very happy that it attracted the number of the kind of reaction that I want. But the federal government, I mean, the state government is late, is yet to react. The reason I asked, was there any proper consultation with the locals before that name was changed? Was there any proper procedure, you know, to ensure that people also make an input, you know, in local government, in the renaming and all that, naming, you know, a name that was there originally? Was there any such consultation? If there is not, then there is a problem. And so I want a reaction from the state government or from the local government that are doing this, you know, and so that we don't allow it to perpetuate. You know, that is the reason why I had to raise that alarm.
You know, I'm going to call out the Lagos State Records and Archival or an archives agency on this one, because they have a responsibility to be able to say, okay, this is why this is, that is why this is.
That's correct.
Let's just hope that they'll be able to do the needful in the shortest time. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Monday Ubani is a senior advocate of Nigeria. We have also had with us Devo Okorie, who is a political and development expert. We appreciate you, gentlemen, for being here this morning. And that's the show this morning. Thank you for the privilege of being part of your morning, and have a wonderful week ahead. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Well, I was told that I made a mistake when I was referring to the Falcons. It is the Super Falcons, not the Falconets, and they will be having a parade. Never mind the rain, much later today here in Abuja. We're welcoming them with every enthusiasm. Thank you for watching this beautiful morning. On top of the hour is Business Morning. I'm Maupe Ogunyese.